Brahms wrote 2 sets of Liebeslieder waltzes. The first set was published in the 1860s to great acclaim. It was a very popular work. It was performed frequently with Brahms at the piano, and also with his friend Clara Schumann at the piano, and with a number of the great singers of their day. And in answer to that, in the 1870s, 1872, he published this, 1875, pardon me, he published this second set. The first set is joyous and sort of covers everything happy and fuzzy about love. Birds and shrubbery and just all things joyful and blooming. And this Hungarian dance that we just heard, number 8 in A minor. A minor? Yes. Yeah. Is a really a perfect introduction to this second set, which is by comparison looking at, not at the gloomy side of love, but looking at the love from a much more intense angle. So many of the speakers in the poems, which are translations of poems from a number of different languages by Georg Dahmer, the first 14 of the 15 songs, are looking at the pain involved in love. And in fact, the very first song begins with the word caution. Be careful, those of you who venture out onto the sea of love, because all around you are wrecked ships. and thus begins this Neue Liebeslieder set. And so some of the soloists, for instance, are singing about love that maybe hasn't quite gone the way they hoped. In number 3, for instance, the speaker is saying, I had decorated the fingers of each hand with rings given to me by my loving brother, and I've given them all away to a beautiful young man who is proving to be unfaithful. And, yeah, right, sucker. The next song, number 4, Ihr schwarzen Augen, you dark eyes, you need only to wink, and around you palaces collapse, cities decay, and no one can resist your charms. Number 5, Wahre, wahre deinen Sohn, was one that our students and friends came up to me and discussed. And I didn't sing it, it's sung by our mezzo colleagues, Kathleen Lane and Kimberly James. And it's a scary text. The speaker is a young woman saying, mothers, protect your sons, because here I come. And they have nothing. They're not going to be able to ward off my beauty, my charms. And literally, that poem ends, if his soul does not ignite from my love, your cottage will burn. So there's even there's something dark in these songs. The Brahms composed the set. He took 14 poems, translations of poems by Georg Dahmer, and made 2 sets of 7 songs each of which have a couple of pieces for 4 voices, and then some solos interspersed. And then to conclude the set, he borrowed a poem from a larger work by the great German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And that poem, which is simply called Conclusion, is an invocation or a sort of exhortation to the muses, to the gods of art and music and dance. And I'll just read the translation. I think that's probably the best way to summarize this. Now, you muses, enough. In vain you struggle to describe how misery and gladness alternate in the loving breast. You cannot heal the wounds inflicted by Cupid, but relief comes only, you kind-hearted ones, from you.
Wonderful. We'll hear now the 15 songs of the Neue Liebeslieder, music of Johannes Brahms, published in 1875. This features an ensemble of 8 singers, Anne Basinski and Diana Livingston Friedley, sopranos, Kimberly James and Kathleen Lane, mezzo-soprano David Cody and Geoffrey Friedley, tenor, David Edmonds and Scott Anderson, baritone, and Christopher Hahn and Corey Bond, piano. We'll hear now Liebeslieder, music of Brahms. This is live from Montana Public Radio Studio B.